Hello, this is Guild Daddy D, Mr. D, or just plain D, and I just got done watching the Heidel Ball video for the second time. Yes, that's 3 hours times two, and took copious notes, so this way you didn't have to sit through all the translators and all the small talk, and I could just get right to the changes for you. So that's what I did. I took copious notes. We're going to sit down and I'm going to go through this hopefully as quick as possible. My goal is 30 minutes or less. So let's dive right in. On the screen, I have my notes. So as I go through, if you want to pause it and read it yourself, you can. But the updates for the Heidel Ball 2025 are broken into 4 chapters, starting with the new adventure changes. These are new UI improvements, starting people out with only the notifications they need. Think of logging into the game for the first time and you see all of those enhancement successes and Black Spirit quests and everything's just flashing, and those of you with epilepsy might be having a little nervous twitch. Those are going away, and everything by default is going to be only what you need as a new player. Info for progress and basic new player stuff will still be displayed. They're also going to fix cooking completed notification messages so they sync better. So when you're done doing things like alchemy or cooking, it's not going to continually spam your successes for the next 38 minutes. They're also going to change the world boss notifications. So this way, if more than one world boss spawns at the same time, you don't have all of them concurrently updating. They just, maybe they're separately on the screen or whatnot. Guild member enhancements, as far as successes on enhancing stuff or failing, will also be toggleable, so you can turn those on and off. They're going to be working on a world map update where you can see all of your characters and all of your alts on the world map and click them to spawn at them. You'll be able to move them around to nodes. This will cost a small fee. So this way you can see where all your tunes are. You can kind of give yourself a reminder of, though, this character's over here. So that world update, and I will go through the dates as they announce them, but the world map update is going to be coming around the middle of July, July 17th. You'll be able to move the characters not just to towns, but to specific nodes through the menu, and it takes 20 minutes to transport them. Streamlining the world map UI to clean up the knowledge icons. So this was actually really cool. The video they showed on the Heidel Ball, when you look at your world map, above each node, above each town, there's going to be a knowledge icon that shows knowledge that you have versus knowledge that you don't. So for instance, it would say like 33 blue knowledge and then 10 gray. The 10 grays are ones you don't have. So it's really going to help those of you who want to go through and collect them all, so to speak, with the knowledge. Enhanced search functions and lots of general world map features. They're going to be just integrating everything into the world map, so it's a one-stop shop. They're going to be separating the menus, cleaning it up, making it a lot more intuitive and easy to use. No longer will you have to, go through the escape menu and go through 4 other menus. The new integrated events page, this streamlines all of the events and lets you keep track of them more easily. You can view all the events in-game without having to go to the website with a full list at a glance. It even gives you the starting quest and directions along with how much time is left, and gives them a little red timer on them if they're getting to the point where they're going to be discontinued or they're almost done. The unified UI shows you 32 different buffs to see things at a glance, like drop rate, XP bonuses, mount XP, etc. And you can click on each individual buff to see the source of all the buffs or the percentages. So think of it like your drop rate. It'll show drop rate 370%, and if you click on it, it'll show you where you're getting all those 370%. The enhancement UI improvements coming on July 30th. These are dedicated enhancement storage and an update to enhancement items and our terms and functions. The new enhancement inventory for stacks, Velks, crons, etc. will be family-wide and can be used directly on any character. So what this is when you open up your enhancement window, all of your advice of Velks, all of your Velks cries, all of your crons, any of your hammers is all going to have a dedicated storage. It's not going to be taking up your pearl inventory or anything else anymore. Anything that's not sellable on the marketplace will be in this storage for enhancement. It's a one-stop shop. All of your tunes in your family can use it, and they're hoping to make it so that you pearl inventory isn't full anymore. They want you to buy more goodies, and you can't if you got all this stuff messing up your pearl inventory. So that's coming July 30th. Sellable items will not be managed in that inventory, only unsellable stuff. So you're not going to find the Dark Hungers or things like that. Tuvala accessories will not fail at try or below to make it less stressful for new adventurers. So those of you with seasonal tunes or whatnot, you're just going to be able to click, 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 just like with the main gear for the accessories. New players will also get 10 billion silver in support funds when they graduate from the season server. A lot of that's going to be provided through content like the main quest, instead of just getting it all as a lump sum at the end. So if you go through the main quest line and graduate, right now you get normally around 400 million. You're going to be getting close to 10 billion now. Boss Blitz content, you'll now be able to, as of July 17th, challenge any boss as many times as you'd like to help friends and guildmates. You won't get any loot if you have no remaining attempts, but you'll still be able to go and help people. So this is for Black Shrines. If you're not doing your weeklies, you're missing out on potentially billions of silver. I know I average about 1 billion silver a week. It takes about 45 minutes maybe for myself and 4 guildmates to do the hard modes. It's really good income, and it's fun to do with a group of people from your guild. Ataraxian changes to how the dagger is given. It's now obtainable through the bosses. That's going to go live on July 10th. So this way, if you have somebody who hasn't run through the dungeons and they need a dagger, it's going to be a lot easier for you to get that dagger for them just by doing the boss fights. They have plans to expand the mentor and mentee system and ways for adventurers to help others. They really like this system. They want to keep it going. They've seen a lot of positive feedback from it, so that's what they said about that. And they're planning to revamp Olvia to make it a whole new beginner area. They're going to change it to the Olvia School with support from the Calpheon Guildmaster, so to speak, designed to help hone skills with bosses and basic life skills. Helps you get used to the game as a new player. The Olvia scenery is going to completely change. It's going to be more like, think of it like Hogwarts, an Olvia school. There's going to be cooking and alchemy with shared tools. There's going to be PvE. There's going to be shared ingredients, etc., etc. So that's that whole area. I don't see this as a bad change because personally I don't remember the last time I went to Olvia, but so that's going to be fun. In Chapter 2 of the updates, an all-in-one preset. So this is going to be change all settings in a single click. So you can be, let's say you're grinding and you want to go to RBF or doing something, you'll be able to just click your presets for PvE, back to PvP, for Arena Solaire, Guild League, etc. That's coming at the end of August. And you're going to be able to set it up so that your UI and your buffs and everything else and your skill sets are all just saved. Similar to how the UI is now, where you have 4 different settings, general, and then preload 1, 2, and 3. Well, there's a whole bunch of different PvE, PvP, etc. Settings you're going to be able to save, and it instantly just clicks, boom, done, boom, done. Add-ons can auto-swap if you match in Arena of Solaire. Gradual phasing out of amity buffs like Carolyn's and stuff planned. So they are making changes. I know there was a couple buffs there that are the amity buffs, and those are going away. They're just trying to make everything easier to upkeep and simplify. So the all-in-one preset, the add-ons, auto-swapping, the gradual phasing out, that's all planning on going live on August 28th. Moving down, they're doing an adventure log reward integration. So doing Igor Bartali's gives all the buffs, plus 9 AP, plus 9 DP, all of the stamina, etc., etc. And then special rewards will be given for the other adventure logs. These logs will be optional now and give rewards like colored titles, and those are going for July 23rd. They're trying to simplify the adventure logs and making it not seem like it's too much work. New life skill update. They're adding a seed pouch, which is a separate inventory for farming. This is a temporary solution to having non-stackable seeds. You can take the seeds out but not plant them directly from them. Comes with 50 slots. They're going to consider increasing it. It's going to be called the Clow's Old Moon Seed Pouch, and that's coming on July 9th. Alternate character energy update. Energy will be used for other content, similar to how you can increase your node level right now. You just pick what tune you take the energy. You'll now be able to use the energy from alt characters to hire workers directly in different towns, work on the night vendor, do contribution points, production nodes, etc., etc. So they're going to make it right from the world map where you could just, or right from interacting with an NPC, you'll be able to grab whatever tune's energy, as opposed to, like in the night vendor, having to swap tunes. They are going to be removing silvered embroidered life clothes. They're going to be removed from the game, everything except for traders and farmers closed. Life XP and the related bonuses added to the Manos clothes, so now's your time to get your Manos. Owners will get scaling rewards. You'll get silver up to duo, and then if you get above duo or you have a +3, +4, or +5, you will get a Jin, Bon, or Wan Dawn Life skill crystal, and that's coming in August. They're planning to add processing success rate to Manos crafting clothes. There will be a base success chance to reduce failures. Pearl inventory updates. They're working on a dressing room. This also goes with them eliminating a lot of the clutter in Pearl inventories. So they're working on a dressing room, but on July 23rd, in the meantime, they're going to give us 2 new items. They're going to give us the Patriglio's extra large apparel bag and the Merv's carry-on bag. These are storage dedicated to outfits. They'll have 40 slots. You can have up to 5, obtainable through loyalties. And the Merv's bag is for quick swaps, not storage, and it lets you assign outfits to the slots, up to 12 purchasable through loyalty. The existing Patriglio bag will... the way to get it will be removed, but those of you who have it, they specifically said that you'll be able to keep it and use it for additional storage, but it will not function the way it does now, if that makes sense. So you won't be able to attain it if you don't already have it, and if you have it, it'll just be a little bit extra outfit storage. They're doing new maid updates coming in September. They're customizing their appearance. They're replacing the default wagon, like, you know, who's going to be riding the wagon. They'll be driving you around. They're chauffeurs. Apparently, you'll be able to chat with them with new AI features, which may or not be creepy. And they will not provide gameplay advantages. So when you go into your manor or your residence, you can assign a main maid or butler to greet you, and you'll be able to chat with them. And I don't know if the AI features mean that you'll be able to chat with anything, and I guess they'll just see how thirsty and degenerate the BDO community is, or if there will be specific dialogues that you have to pick, but I guess we'll see in September. Blue Battlefield. Ship Node Wars. This is coming July 30th. It's going to be in the Balanos Sea and the Kelphion Sea. It's going to be 20-player node war, ship battle. Nodes appear on random islands, and you have to destroy and occupy the forts. The guild that occupies the fort at the timer wins. All ship movements are halved for naval combat. No ship repairs during the battle. Tears of the Wind are disabled. If a ship is destroyed, you respawn at a wharf via a map. They're going to be giving you a specific traveler's map to use during Blue Battlefield. There's no penalty for sailor death. The guild galley is super durable, deals heavy damage to structures, and you're only allowed 1 per guild. The Carracks are basically, your PvP boats. They're best for killing boats and protecting the galley. The Panixin, or Panko as we call it, they're like tanks. They're going to be doing their swift turn skill from a 45 degree to a 180 degree turn, and you'll be able to hold the position. And then the galleons, they're going to be usable and strong, they say. They're lowering its defense and boosting its attacks, so even people with galleons that don't have Carracks or Pankos will be able to participate. These Blue Battlefields will be going on 6 days a week, every day except for Saturday, and it's the same time schedule as regular Node Wars. The rewards include guild funds, gold bars, items to reroll sea crystals, and red grade sea crystals based on RNG. So I'm really looking forward to the Blue Battlefield. Chapter 3, Beyond the Desert Sands. This is specifically for veterans. New content, the Alan Serbin's Landscape. This is 10 paintings showing main monster zones coming August 27th. These are frames that you put, they're literally like paintings that you put in your residence, that I'm assuming they didn't specifically say that. And you can fuse the locations with your characters. And this is specifically for treasure grinding. You can, for instance, you get each one of the paintings in a specific area where you would grind for treasures. Let's use Histria, for example. You'll get the Histria painting to drop. When you activate the Histria painting and you go to grind at a 300 plus AP zone, you now have the ability to get the treasure drops while grinding in a different location. So, for instance, let's say you want to go to Olin's, right? Or Crypt, somewhere that doesn't drop one of the treasures. You can activate the painting for whatever treasure piece you want, and then you get the ability to get those as drops while grinding at Olin's or Crypt or wherever you're grinding. So this will be a great way for people who, first of all, can handle 300 plus AP, which if you can't right now, get with the game, but also to catch up on any of your treasure grind. It's basically a treasure event, and you get to customize where you grind for the treasure pieces. It requires a new item from the treasure zones to attune, and it keeps the drop rate the same, fixed lower rate in alternate zones. So it's you're not going to get penalized, and it's not like you're going to plus 50% to get the treasure piece. No. So that I'm very excited about for some of us who can't get treasure drops. They're also reworking alchemy stones. Previously there was 8 levels with 4 color grades. Now there's going to be 6 levels with only yellow grade. They're overhauling the UI, which is great because it's clunky and old. Easier progression to recharge and grow on the same screen instead of having 3 or 4 different tabs. There is a pity system. You use a stone to prevent degrading. Shining has extremely high requirements because of its value. The rate's raised overall, but not for shining, and cron stones can be used, and success rate is displayed, and there's also an ancient anvil system. So think of enhancing. You're going to see what your percentage is. You got the pity system and cron stones for your alchemy stones. So people are going to start upgrading those. New gears and mounts. Sovereign Offhand, coming August 6th. It's a combination of Kudum and Nuver. It's a very powerful weapon. It enhances up to deck. The ways you get it: you have to use a Pen Black Star or Kudum Nuver Black Star plus a Gem of Twilight. There's 3 ways you can get it. 1, you need 2 Pen Black Star sub-weapons. Does not have to be class specific. Plus a Gem of Twilight. The second way is a Pen Black Star sub-weapon plus a Pen Kudum C20 and a Pen Nuver C20, which is by far the most expensive. 3, a Pen Black Star sub-weapon plus a Gem of Twilight plus a Gem of Primordial. The Gem of Primordial is a new material that's going to be added. So I don't have much information of the Gem of Twilight or the Gem of Primordial yet. They did not give much. But right now I'm going to be working on the 2 Pen Black Stars with the Gem of Twilight. So make your own decision, but that is something August 6th, now's the time to prepare. You got a little over a month. So this started as apparently a wish list of one of the GMs that's actually come to fruition. They're doing a combination of a T11 horse. They're combining the Dine, the Ardina, and the Doom into one mega horse. They haven't even named it yet. They were joking about calling it Dad or everything. They're actually taking submissions on the forums for what to name this horse. It's going to be the best horse in the game, top tier. You're going to get the jump and the glide of the Pegasus, the water walking in the Unicorn, and the triple sprint of the Doom all together. Anybody who has a Sanctuary will automatically get this. Whether you have a Sanctuary now or whether you get a Sanctuary in 2 years from now, you automatically get it once you make the Sanctuary. It comes at level 1 with all 37 skills, not 2-seater, all trained to 100%. It is going to have the highest base speed, the highest turn, the highest whatever out of all the horses. It's going to be the best horse in BDO and can be used on other characters. For instance, you can have this, whatever this horse, we'll call it, I don't know, Rainbow Bright. Pick your favorite My Little Pony name. It's going to be the Uber horse. And you can spawn it with your main and then put your Sanctuary in your storage for your alts to use. So this horse will be separate from the Sanctuary that you will just get for making the Sanctuary. And then also they teased this. They said they're working on this, but it's not perfected yet. Instant swap to tag character. Like you swap to your tagged, and it kind of puts you in the little V animation where you're that little red ball, and then boom, your tagged character's there. So that's really exciting, and I hope they can get that to work. Chapter 3.5 for the PvP overhaul. There's 4 main focuses. The damage formula changes. They're going to make this easier to understand formulas and kind of get everything to the point where it's easier to understand, easier to mitigate. 1% of evasion equals 4 accuracy. Accuracy removed from most skills, and I put rip hash because they use that as the example. But if your class gets a lot of accuracy bonuses on your skills, all of those are going away, and every class is going to get plus 18 accuracy via the infinite mastery skill, which is that passive skill that everybody just automatically clicks to 5 at the bottom of your K screen. So everybody's going to get that, 50, 90 accuracy, and you're not going to get accuracy buffs from any of your skills anymore except for passives. DR and SA reduction and the DR formula changes. They did not give specifics, but they said they're honing that in. They're removing human damage from PvP, and it's going to be called now extra damage to characters. And they're really trying to separate PvE and PvP. So for instance, humanoids would be PvE, characters would be PvP. So there's no confusion anymore for new players or for non-English speaking players. Species damage will not exceed the AP limit in monster zones anymore. So if you're above soft cap, that's it. Whatever soft cap is where your stats will apply. And what they're trying to do is make it so that you won't have a reason to stay in the low areas anymore, that you'll just naturally progress to the higher zones. They're trying to push everybody to those new content areas that they've spent a lot of time on. They're going to change the summon changes in PvP. Your summons are the same AP as your character. The benefits from player damage effects, so any of your player damage effects your summons will have. Species damage no longer ignores DR, as well as they're removing the buff at night that summons got. For instance, the Highlang, the Tamer summons. I don't know if the nighttime buff applied to the Striker summons, but I did hear people saying that it applied to the Tamer. So they're going to get rid of that. They're removing resistances in PvP. So how this is and mainly this is affecting grapple. There's going to be a wind-up animation added to ranged grabs versus melee grabs. So it's going to telegraph what you're doing. The farther the grab, the longer the wind-up. So melee grabs will be a shorter wind-up, range will be longer. Grapple resistance does not apply in PvE, and they're getting rid of it in PvP, so it'll be eliminated completely out of the game. And items giving it will be reimbursed with silver. And then 3-minute buffs or passives will be replaced in PvP. They'll still be good in PvE, but they will not be in PvP anymore. And then as far as the group synergy multipliers, they're going to make changes to the class damage modifiers. So there's going to be 3 different groups of classes. And they use this example. Like for instance, Ranger Succession and Ranger Awakening will be in different groups because one uses range and one uses melee. So it's probably going to be ranged, melee, and magic, I'm guessing. And then you're going to get bonuses with different class damage modifiers. So depending on the synergy of the group, that's all going to change, and you're going to get better bonuses based on the synergy of what classes you play. And I believe their end game goal with this is just trying to promote different play styles. Mouse movement, they're getting rid of it completely. They said that a lot of players have become very accustomed to this, and they know that this is going to upset some people, but it's an outdated system and it's just not working, so they need to get rid of it because it's also causing a lot of problems on PvP, where when you use your mouse, if you forcibly change your movement mid-skill, it changes what you see versus what your opponent sees because there's just not enough time, I guess, on the desync. So they will be replaced by improvements to preserve the gameplay. They understand that certain classes perform better with mouse movement, and those classes will see some sort of changes to improve or to keep the gameplay where you know it is. So they just want to get rid of mouse movement. They don't want to nerf classes. Enhancement growth. If you are above 310 AP, you will get plus 5 AP versus monsters per point of sheet AP. Falling below the AP requirements while grinding at a PvE zone will nuke your grinding efficiency. In other words, they don't want you going someplace that you're not ready for. There will be no sharp AP increases past zone caps, so once again, they're going to stick to those soft caps. No DP bonuses planned, but working to reduce one-shots in PvE. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to make PvE safer and more fluid, and have a natural progression of grind spots where people don't just go to the same ones. They're also going to be setting a DP minimum for all instance content, including dungeons, shrine bosses, and Ataraxian, but they're not going to have a DP minimum for grind spots. So the way they explained it is there's going to be AP minimums for PvE spots and AP DP requirements for instanced. And then PvE zones will have reworked clear soft caps, so you will know exactly where you're supposed to be. These updates will gradually be tested and added through July. The live server updates are going to be by the end of July, the beginning of August at the latest, for all of that stuff. And then Chapter 4, Adania, the new region. They're calling it Transcending All Limits. It's going to be north of Valencia. It's been referred to in the lore as Alialia, north of the strait to Hakoven. So if you're going out to Hakoven, the cliffs on the north side of the strait, the continent above that is Adania. The main NPCs there are Assassins. It's going to be released in 2 parts. The first one is it's 1 town, 5 castles, 5 monster zones, 5 bosses. The difficulty levels increase, and how they laid it out is each castle has a boss with PvE mobs around it. So the 5 bosses are Jordine, Rusalka, which is the Mermaid Queen, which is the Corsair's lineage, Karshin, Enslar, and Caphras. They are building a 6th castle, which is going to be part of Part 2, which the boss there is going to be Markthanon, the Black Dragon from the Mountain of Eternal Winter. In order to have access to Adania, you have to complete the final Gladios with 1 character. Once you do it once, it unlocks it for your entire family. The monster zones tied to the castles, their AP DP requirements are Jordine is the easiest at 350 AP, 427 DP, and then it goes up from there. The AP goes from 350, 360, 365, 370, and finally ending at 380, 460 for Caphras. That's 380 AP, 460 DP for Caphras. The Sovereign offhand gives plus 24 AP at deck compared to Pen Blackstar, so they're telling people not to get too excited and worried about the AP DP requirements, because once the Sov offhand comes up, as well as a few other gear changes that we haven't covered yet, that you'll catch up quickly. You could do 1 boss per week, and the higher boss you could do, the better loot you get. So you could do 1 of these Jordine, Rusalka, Karshin, Enslar, or Caphras a week, and the higher up the chain you go, the better loot you get. There is going to be new artifacts and light stones. So now the Dekia artifacts will be able to be reformed into the Visionary Dekia artifacts, and that adds 6 AP over what the existing ones give. You'll be able to amplify light stones, which, like in the example they used, where it was the light stone of the Fire Fallen. If you amplify that, it gives you an additional 2 extra damage to species. You'll be able to combine them with the new materials in Adania. Light stones will be up to plus 7 versus species. You'll be able to get Crystals of Dusky Oblivion, Crystals of Dusky Rune, give more damage to Adania monsters. This is similar to the more damage to Kama Sylvia monsters, but they're coming out with a whole new set just for Adania. The new Adania monster species, the new crystals for extra damage to them. And they're also coming out with a new life crystal, which combines the vital and life crystal, which is XP plus mastery. And it's going to be called the Crystal of Breathing Verdure, craftable from materials gathered in Adania. They're coming out with new droughts and perfumes from Adania materials, 4 damage versus Adania. They're coming out with primordial materials used for crafting the Sovereign Subweapon. You'll be able to get fragments from the weekly bosses, grinding, and the weekly quests, as well as the main quest line. You need 1,000 fragments. The main quest line will give you 100. And they're also coming out with the Sovereign Armor now. The gloves and shoes combine the DR and evasion. And in order to do this, you need to combine Tet, Fallen God armor, with a fragment of Adana, which you get after defeating one of the Adana bosses. You get 1 fragment per week, so that gives you 1 tap per week. The enhancements via the Adana Blackstone are crafted using one of the fragments. And they were really talking about how the anvil and the stacks needed and the percentages are going to be a little bit less than the Sovereign because this is time gated, right? If you could do 1 tap per week, the very minimum that you're going to need is a month to get all 4 of your armor pieces converted. So if you have Pen Fallen God, which 99 pieces exist, 77 players have them, you will be able to trade it for an Oct Adana gear, which will keep you well above the curve for a long time. Just to give you an example of the enhancing, if you're going from a Tet to a Pen Sovereign Armor, it's going to be a 14.8% at 240 stacks. If you're going from Sept to Oct, it's 4.99 at 310. It will have the Anvil Pity system. For example, 30 failures for a guaranteed at Oct. Pen and Oct Adana armor have special visual effects. It looks like a really glowy version of, with the red smoky fumes coming off of it, of a Fallen God. If you get all 4 armor pieces, you get an outfit that looks identical to the armor, but you could just put it on as an outfit on a main or an alt. Sovereign weapons get plus 6 AP at Oct gradually. So as you get your as you already have your Sovereign main hand and your Sovereign Awakening, they're going to be getting additional AP. You get a +1 at Pen, +1 at Hex, +1 at Sep, and then reforming it with a Garma's Heart or one of the other reform stones will give you an additional +3 AP and +50 accuracy. So right now everybody should be working on getting your Sep weapons. Once you get to Sep, once this update goes live on July 9th, you will get +6 AP. Garmoth Heart will now be usable on all Sovereign weapons, main hand included. And you're going to get a free one on July 9th. So on July 9th, you'll be getting a free Garmoth Heart. You can throw it in your main hand or whatever. Save it for the offhand. It's up to you. New PvP, Adana's Throne. All 5 of the castles in Adana will be ruled by an adventurer. What you have to do is defeat the castle boss to be eligible. Out of all the people that defeat each one of those 5 bosses, and if you want, I can go through it again, Jordine, Rusalka, Karshan, Enslar, and Kaphras. Out of all the people who defeat them, 10 adventurers are selected for each one, 7 by the highest gear score, and then 3 randomly from the others. And you do a free-for-all last one standing battle. If you win, you rule the castle in that zone. You will get an Adana crown, a special item, a world chat. You can use world chat and server chat without megaphone or energy. You get a crown icon next to your name in chat. Each monster zone gets taxes through Marnie passes, which you will get a portion of it as the Adana King, or ruler, I guess. There's no death penalties or cooldowns in your zone if you're the Adana. Adanas can also use a blessing. All adventurers in their zone will get an item drop rate plus 100% for 2 hours to increase their loot drop to a maximum of 400%, and you can use that blessing 10 times over the course of a week. An Adana can also clear a monster zone for a friend, kicking people out. So if somebody's grinding there and one of your guildmates says, hey, I want to grind there, you can boot people out. And that's the example they used during the Heidel Ball. So additional content, I covered this on the Global Labs. The Wukong Monkey King is coming out as a new class. Apparently the Wukong and the Lan have a special story as you go through the Wukong storyline. He uses a power pole, or think of it as just a bow staff. It looks like that builds energy that you store in a gourd until you can achieve the enlightened Buddha status, which increases all of your combat abilities. When you gather all of your energy and you become enlightened Buddha, you get a much larger AoE and you hit a lot harder. You also, most of your skills have automatic movement, closing the distance between you and enemies. You can continuously maintain the enlightened status as you kill mobs. Your awakened quote-unquote weapon is called a Jade Pillar, and all of the skills pretty much do AoE damage, and at 200% you do have clones. It has a flexible ascension that moves back and forth seamlessly between your main and awakened weapons. You also have a grab, which is a melee grab, as well as a flight, float, aerial maneuver, which, think of the Lan's Nimbus. Instead, you have like a flaming flying carpet. And that releases on Global Labs apparently this week, and global release is on July 2nd. They leaked a new class called a Savior that's going to be released with Adanya Part 2. It is a two-handed greatsword female knight. Also, they're releasing or coming up with a Masterclass PvP tournament starting in August. It's going to be 1v1 mirror matches for all 29 classes. To qualify, you need to be in the top 5% gear score required. And when you compete in the actual tourney, you're going to be using capped gear. Suck and Awakening are not split. And the winner gets, quite a bit of rewards. You get a Griffin mount, which looked very cool, for an entire year. And I put Ultimate Flex on here. And you'll get special titles, and they're probably going to do a ball invite and in-person tournament. So each region's going to have their own different 1v1 29 class matches. And so each region, when Wukong comes out, it'll actually be 30. Each region will have 30 masters, and you will be the best of your class. So Rangers will compete versus Rangers, Zerks versus Zerks, Warriors versus Warriors, etc., etc. And they said this tournament will come to fruition sometime in September, October, November. They don't know an exact date yet. And then summer events coming. They are planning on doing Termian and Sea Palace. They did not plan on anything new for this summer tournament or summer events because they have so much other stuff that they've been working on. New outfits. Starting on July 2nd, you'll be able to get the summer getaway outfit, which will be like a woven knit top with denim bottoms. And then starting on July 30th, you'll be able to get a wetsuit / rash guard scuba outfit called Ocean Spray. And that covers the Heidel Ball. I don't know if I hit my 30 minutes or less goal, but there you go. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, make sure to post a comment to me, hit me up in Discord, like and subscribe, and keep posted for new content. See you guys later.